What do you want in life? What's my purpose in life? Why am I here? What do I love? What am I passionate about? How many people can genuinely answer, this is my purpose in life? Very, very few people. Once you're clear with your purpose, you know what to concentrate on, and you know what to direct your finite amount of energy towards.
If you're conditioned, it's because you have allowed yourself to become that. And if we conditioned ourselves to believe certain kinds of things, and one of the things that we kind of believe and hang on to and live with is this whole idea that all of the things that happened to me in my past are what are keeping me from doing what I'd like to do today. So we hang on to these things and we fill ourselves with blame.
You have some options. Here you are exploring the variety of your environment and coming into alignment with who you really are, and then allowing all of that to flow through you too. So in every moment in time, you have the option of focusing in a way that increases and enhances your alignment and your joy, which causes you to resonate with everything you put into your vortex, or something else. There really are not so many other choices, are there? You can focus on a problem. You cannot have enough money and feel bad because you are attached to the money. Or you can not have enough money and feel good as you're anticipating more coming. But the consequence or the circumstance of the money does not need to dictate to you how you feel. That is the problem with getting attached to something that you can't control, is that it leaves you like a puppet with no strings. It's about not putting your attachment in all the wrong places, not putting it in what is temporary, but putting it in what is steady. And then in that steady attachment or alignment, then you can just flow it to whatever is currently in your now flowing through your experience.
You can't give away what you don't have. People who are not good at giving away love can't give away love because they don't have it to give away. If I want to give you a dozen oranges, I can't give you those dozen oranges unless I go out and pick up 12 oranges someplace. Otherwise, all it is just empty rhetoric. And the same thing is true of virtually everything in your life. You can't give away love for others if you don't have love in here to give away. If what you have in here is contempt, if what you have in here is anger, if what you have in here is fear, then these are the things you're going to be giving away in your life.
Every one of you are drawing a picture with your life. You're the artist. Your hands and your feet are the paintbrushes. And the choices and decisions you're making right now are the paint strokes. You can paint whatever picture you want to paint. You can become whatever you want to become. But your choices and decisions that you're making right now matter.
You got to have the grit and the tenacity to push forward and give it a little bit more than what you have right now.
Don't wait for the perfect timing. The perfect timing is never going to come because there's no such thing as perfect. There's never going to be a day where you wake up and you're like, this is the perfect day for me to finally change. All the things have lined up. My inbox is completely clear. I have nothing to do today. There's no distractions. The kids are finally perfectly on their own. Oh my gosh, my husband or wife is finally perfect on their own. Everybody is healthy around me. Everything is just perfect. The day is sunny and bright. And oh my gosh, look at all this gold that just happened to appear in front of me. It's not going to happen like that. You need to say, okay, there is never going to be a perfect time, so you need to set a D-Day. Literally, a day in which you say, that's the day. And then you need to marshal all of your motivation, all of your ability to learn and develop skills as fast as you can before that day. But when that day comes, that's D-Day. That's the day that you go. That's the day that you quit. And that has to be a real date for you. I mean, mark it on the calendar. That's the day you quit the thing. That's the day you walk out. That's the day that you leave that situation that is not healthy or satisfying or good for you or your soul or the people around you. That you have to have that date. It has to be scheduled or you'll never do it. You'll just keep saying, oh, you know, one day things are going to be... You know the people who say one day? They end up at the end with a collection of days that were so far from perfect that they're in a state of misery now. They never landed in the land of their dreams, because they were always marching in something that was miserable to them. right? At some point, the only way that life changes is that you change your course. And don't wait for a perfect day. So what's your date?
People who earn large incomes aren't lucky, and they're not crooks as those without money are so fond of pretending, nor are they endowed with more brains or talent necessarily than their friends and neighbors, nor are they privy to occult secrets, and only a very few were lucky enough to have had rich fathers or grandfathers. Most of the people earning the big incomes today started the same way you and I did, and most other people. The only difference between the men who earn big incomes and those who earn small incomes is that those earning big incomes decided to earn more. They're the people who made it their business to earn more. You see, people do what they make up their minds to do. So get rid of the ancient superstition once and for all that people who earn big money are special people, are lucky, or get the breaks, or had money to begin with, or knew someone, or are smarter, or anything else. These are alibis. They can all be disproved 1,000 times. The reason there are so many of these alibis around is that men who fail to make the grade financially are seldom honest enough to just admit that they really didn't try and keep trying. So in order to justify their failure, in order to remain seated, they dream up and pass along these old alibis. We're all self-made, but only the successful will admit it.
The commitments we make to ourselves and to others, and our integrity to those commitments, is the essence and clearest manifestation of our proactivity. It is also the essence of our growth through our human endowments of self-awareness and conscience. We become conscious of areas of weakness, areas for improvement, areas of talent that could be developed, areas that need to be changed or eliminated from our lives. Then, as we recognize and use our imagination and independent will to act on that awareness, making promises, setting goals, and being true to them, we build the strength of character, the being that makes possible every other positive thing in our lives. It is here that we find two ways to put ourselves in control of our lives immediately. We can make a promise and keep it, or we can set a goal and work to achieve it. As we make and keep commitments, even small commitments, we begin to establish an inner integrity that gives us the awareness of self-control and the courage and strength to accept more of the responsibility for our own lives. By making and keeping promises to ourselves and others, little by little our honor becomes greater than our mood. The power to make and keep commitments to ourselves is the essence of developing the basic habits of effectiveness. Knowledge, skill, and desire are all within our control. We can work on any one to improve the balance of the three. As the area of intersection becomes larger, we more deeply internalize the principles upon which the habits are based and create the strength of character to move us in a balanced way toward increasing effectiveness in our lives.
Get stronger. You can develop the muscle. You can develop the courage muscle. You can develop the inspiration muscle. You can develop the dedication muscle. You can get stronger. There isn't anybody here that can't get stronger. Next time we see you, may not even recognize you. How strong you're going to be able to become in language, in style, in personality, the ability to cope, the ability to handle with anything that happens, no matter what happens. And the third one is get better. We can all get better. I've gotten better. First talk I gave, I stood up, my mind sat back down. But here's the secret to my success. I stood up and did it again. Stood up and I did it again. And I did it again, and I did it again all those many years ago. I did it when I was scared, and I did it when I didn't want to, and I did it when I was ill. And I did it when it didn't work well, and I did it when they didn't appreciate it, and I didn't a lot of times when I didn't know much what I was doing. I just did it anyway. And now all these years later, I'm asked to walk on this stage. Greatest introduction I've ever had, greatest response and welcome I've ever had, the greatest opportunity I've ever had to touch this many lives with a mixture of word, heart, and soul. I got better. I got better day by day and week by week and month by month. And I'm asking you to do the same thing until you can develop a long arm and a long reach. Until you can develop influence that won't quit. Touch people next year you couldn't touch this year. Touch people now you couldn't touch before. Conduct a meeting now you couldn't conduct before. Heart and soul now mixed in there that wasn't there, missing before. I'm asking all of you to get better, in spite of the winters, in spite of the downturn, the money downturn, the social downturn, the personal downturn, whatever it is. Just get stronger. Get better. The key is not to wish for a better winter. Key is to wish for more strength, more wisdom, more courage, get better, get wiser, get stronger.
I'm really on the side of the person that wants to do something positive with their life, to make their own life better, because I think that's where you should start. You should start by maximizing the quality of your own life. That's not a selfish thing, or if it is, it's the right kind of selfishness. And that you should figure out how to do that in a way that's of benefit to your friends and your family and your community, and you should take that deadly seriously. And the reason you should do that is because that just makes life better for everyone. And it reduces a fair bit of the misery that would otherwise be part and parcel of life, and it makes everything function smoothly. And one of the things I'm really curious about is what the world would be like if everybody decided to do that, because human beings are really remarkable creatures, and we hobble ourselves very badly with deception and resentment and revenge and the desire to make things worse and arrogance and all those sins, let's say, that make us deviate from our true path. And our true path should be something like, imagine the noblest aim that you can conceptualize and then sacrifice your life to attempting to attain it. And there's nothing in that that isn't good for everyone. And so, apart from the fact that it requires a lot of responsibility, I just can't see why everyone wouldn't do that.
So you gotta go to the truth first. Who are you? Get really accountable and say, okay, who am I? What's the truth about me? Get to that dark place in your mind. Figure out, it may take months, it may take years. Figure out your purpose. Figure out what you want to be in life. And then from there, okay, I have my purpose. It may take a long time. No one knows their purpose because it's too loud. Find your purpose. From there, all right, you gotta start planning. People love the planning phase because it's very comfortable. Then from the planning phase, you gotta go to execution. So the execution phase we all hate, because that's where the real work begins, and that's when the failure happens. The failure. So that, that's kind of how you have to do it.
There's a tremendous amount of stuff you got to change and do. You have been given the message over and over and over, even though it's not true, that you don't deserve it, that there's something wrong with you. If you don't, at some point, be defiant against what the world or your past experience has pounded into your brain incorrectly, unfairly, you will forever be stuck with that story. You are not responsible for what happened to you. You survived what happened to you. But you do have a responsibility to heal yourself and to do the work to change so that you can be the happy, fulfilled person that you were born to be. In a moment when you feel alone, you can give yourself the boost, the support, the empowerment that you need to keep going.
If it's important to you, you're going to find a way. You won't have to look for a resource. You will become resourceful. It's not always about the accomplishment. It's about the effort. If we can just keep that effort going, the excuse is irrelevant.
Responsibility. That's what gives life meaning. It's like lift a load. Then you can tolerate yourself, right? Because look at, you're useless, easily hurt, easily killed. Why should you have any self-respect? That's the story of the fall. Pick something up and carry it. Make it heavy enough so that you can think, yeah, well, useless as I am, at least I could move that from there to there. Well, what's really cool about that is that when I talk to these crowds about this, the men's eyes light up. And that's I've seen that phenomenon because I've been talking about this mythological material for a long time. And I can see when I'm watching crowds, people, their eyebrows lift, their eyes light up because I put something together for them. And that's what mythological stories do. So I'm not taking responsibility for that. That's what the stories do. So I say the story and people go click, 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 and their eyes light up. But this responsibility thing, that's a whole new order of this, is that young men are so hungry for that, it is unbelievable. And one of the things I've been talking to some of the people who've been running for the Conservative leadership in Canada, and I've been talking to them about, the difficulties they have communicating with young people, because Conservatives, what the hell are they going to sell to young people, right? Because being Conservative is something that happens when you're older. They can sell responsibility.
I started realizing, man, just by going to war with myself every day and putting these challenges and these goals and these obstacles, these insurmountable obstacles. So it wasn't about losing 106 pounds, me losing 5 pounds. was an accomplishment. Me losing 10 pounds and then 50 pounds. And then the more I did this, the more I gained confidence. And then the more I gained confidence, the more I realized these Navy SEALs, man. These guys can't do what I'm doing right now. I had no coach, had no trainer, had no money. I didn't know how to lose weight. I had no knowledge of what I was doing. I was just working. I was just sacrificing. And then through that, all these different tools started coming up. But I would have never found these tools if I didn't put myself in a very uncomfortable place. We all look for toughness. We all want it, but we look for it in a comfortable environment. You will not find toughness in a comfortable environment. Those of you who are listening to this, whoever hear this, you will not find it. I will try and look for it everywhere. The only way you find it is to drown yourself in a position where you're just out of sorts, where you can't swim and you're drowning. You're drowning. You're drowning in life. And you say, oh man, I'm going to figure out how to backstroke. I'm going to figure out how to, and then you're figuring out all these tools. Your mind starts to, when you quit, your mind does this. Because you're out. Once you say, I'm not going to quit, this is the 40%. When you quit, your mind says, we're done. So it doesn't expand. There's no expansion when you quit. When you say, this sucks, I'm drowning, I'm miserable, I'm suffering, I'm broken, but I'm not going anywhere. What happens to your mind is it does this. It says, he's not leaving. So we got to expand. We got to grow. We got to figure this thing out. So then these compartments in your brain start to they have to work. They have to work. And then you start to engage parts of your mind that you never engaged before. But you can't engage it by sitting back in these nice chairs, drinking this nice water, talking to you, talking about what I want to do. That's where the 40% thing comes in. It comes in when you're in suffer mode and you say, I'm not going to quit. You're forcing your brain now to operate on a level it's not used to. But then it becomes used to.
Your inborn potential is extraordinary. You have within you right now the ability to achieve almost any goal that you can set for yourself. Your greatest responsibility to yourself is to invest the whatever time is required to become absolutely clear about exactly what it is you want and how you can best achieve it. The greater clarity you have regarding your true goals, the more of your potential you will unleash for good in your life. You have probably heard it said that the average person uses only 10 of his or her potential. The sad fact is that, according to Stanford University, the average person functions with only about 2 of his or her mental potential. The remainder just sits there in reserve, being saved up for some later time. This would be exactly as if your parents had left you a trust fund with $100,000 in it, but all you ever took out to spend was $2,000. The other $98,000 simply sat in the account unused throughout your life. The starting point of all goal attainment is desire. You must develop an intense, burning desire for your goals if you really want to achieve them. It is only when your desire becomes intense enough that you will have the energy and the internal drive to overcome all the obstacles in life. The good news is that almost anything that you want long enough and hard enough, you can ultimately achieve. The great oil billionaire H.L. Hunt was once asked the secret of success. He replied that success required 2 things and 2 things only. First, he said, you must know exactly what it is you want. Most people never make this decision. Second, he said, you must determine the price that you will have to pay to achieve it, and then get busy paying that price, setting goals, working toward them day by day, and ultimately achieving them is the key to happiness in life. Goal setting is so powerful that the very act of thinking about your goals makes you happy, even before you have taken the first step toward achieving them. To unlock and unleash your full potential, you should make a habit of daily goal setting and achieving for the rest of your life. You should develop a laser-like focus so that you are always thinking and talking about the things you want, rather than the things that you don't want. You must resolve from this moment on to be a goal-seeking organism, like a guided missile or a moving unerringly toward the things that are important. There is no greater guarantee of a long, happy, healthy, and prosperous life than for you to be continually working on being, having, and achieving more and more of the things you really want. Clear goals enable you to release your full potential for personal and professional success. Goals enable you to overcome any obstacle and to make your future unlimited.
Every single day that we wake up, we have been gifted the opportunity of choice. You can choose to be happy or you can choose to be sad. I don't care what your situation is. You should never allow your situation to define who you are as a person. The outside is the physical manifestation of what goes on inside the brain. Things do not just happen. No one just rear-ends your car. You don't just become broke. Broke is a mindset. Things don't just happen. Your pocketbook is not just below balance or on zero. You're not just overweight, just by chance you're just overweight. Things don't just happen.
Your words can trip you. What you say can cause you to stumble. It can keep you from your potential. You're not snared by what you think. Negative thoughts come to us all. When you speak them out, you give them life. That's when they become a reality. When you say, I'll never get back in shape, it becomes more difficult. You just made it harder. When you say, I never get any good breaks, that stops the favor that was ordained for you. If you say, I'm not that talented, I don't have a good personality, that is setting the limits for your life. That is calling in mediocrity.
So the recognition that negative thinking and unhappy states actually do nothing to change anything. If anything, they make it worse. So if there's enough awareness and you can suddenly look at that, and then you can ask yourself from the deeper perspective of awareness, do I want to continue to think these thoughts? Is that helpful or good? Do I really want that?
Ask yourself, what is my limiting step? What is the one factor that determines the speed at which I achieve my goal, or whether I achieve it at all? Once you've answered this question, you can move on to making a plan for how to accomplish your goals by eliminating this limiting factor. Your ability to identify your limiting step is one of the best demonstrations of your intelligence, and your capacity to eliminate this limiting step is one of the best demonstrations of your overall competence in achieving anything you want.
It's our thoughts that are manifesting this world. Now you could say that's a spiritual thing, and now I say not only is it spiritual, now it is fundamental basic science of the universe. And it says then the thoughts are creative. Well, if the thoughts are creative, then who's having the thought? And you start to realize, I'm having the thought. Well, then the truth is simple. As Richard Conn Henry said, you are creating this world with your mental activity and your spirituality combined. And then all of a sudden it says, well, then if I'm creating the world, then my original belief that when things didn't go right, I was a victim. The universe wasn't supporting me. You know, it's like, oh, I try so hard and the universe is not giving me things. It turns 180 degrees around. And it basically says this: we are creating this world. And then I say your mind is creating this world.
Although you cannot change conditions or circumstance, you don't have to let them control you. We can't control what's going on outside, but we can control what's going on inside. And unfortunately, I don't think many of us have been raised to really understand that. And it's a lack of understanding that's causing all our problems. We are the only creature on the planet that's totally disoriented in our environment. All the little squirrels, the birds, all the animals are completely at home in their environment. They blend in. You and I are totally disoriented in our environment. We've been given the mental faculties to create our own environment. However, we go right through school and we've never learned that. We have higher faculties and the average person has no knowledge of how to operate them, how to develop them. We have perception, the will, reason, imagination, memory, and intuition. Now, those mental faculties, they're not just words, they're actually mental faculties that we can use to take control over our world and to create the environment that we want. But unfortunately, we grow up, we don't know that. We've been raised to live through by what we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, our physical senses. And we've been raised to be controlled by what's going on outside. As little kids, will you listen to what I'm telling you? Will you look at this? You know, and so it's all outside. We get our report card, and that tells us what kind of student we are. But it really tells us where our mind was at for a few minutes 3 weeks ago. Got nothing to do with who we are. So I think we're raised in ignorance, actually. There's a very small percentage of the population that have a reasonably clear understanding of who they are and what they're capable of doing, but the ones that do are in the minority.
People think that the purpose of memory is to remember the past, and that's not the purpose of memory. The purpose of memory is to extract out from the past lessons to structure the future, and that's the purpose of personal memory. And so you're done with a memory when you've extracted out the information that you can use to guide yourself properly in the future. So if you have a traumatic memory, for example, that's really obsessing you, if you analyze that memory to the point where you figured out how you put yourself at risk and you can determine how you might avoid that in the future, then the emotion associated with that goes away. So memory has a very pragmatic function. And cultural memory is the same thing, is that we need to extract out stories from our past that structure our future. And we need that because, well, first of all, if you don't have a purpose, let's say, it isn't that your life becomes neutral in a meaningless sense. It's that your life becomes characterized by unbearable suffering, because the baseline condition of life is something like unbearable suffering. And what you have to set against that is a noble and worthwhile purpose. And hopefully your determination of that purpose is buttressed to some degree by the wisdom of the past, because you can't conjure something like that up on your own. And if you provide people with nobility of purpose, then they can tolerate the suffering of existence without becoming entirely corrupted by it. And cultures that don't do that, it isn't even so much that they die, it's that cultures that don't do that are dead. They're done. They don't have a story anymore. They don't have a call to adventure. And then everyone suffers stupidly as a consequence. It's a very bad thing. So Churchill made the same observation that many of the great psychologists and philosophers made in the early part of the 20th century. It's like, bring the story forward and propagate it and make it the most noble possible story. And then you motivate people to transcend themselves, which they need to do. So, yes, he's exactly right in his diagnosis.
In order for us to become abundant, we have to overcome the old personality. And that's 95% of who we are, right?
Yes.
So then, the side effect of the beginning of this process is a lot of discomfort. It is a lot of discomfort because you're stepping outside the known into the unknown, and now you can't predict.
It's scary.
No, you'd rather hold on to your lack.
The pain, the suffering.
Rather tell the story of that. At least it makes you feel something that's familiar. Mm-hmm. When you step outside and you're saying, I'm not going to complain about money any longer. I'm not going to complain about I don't have any. I'm not going to judge other people who do. I'm not going to say I can't. I'm not worthy. It's never going to work. All those things got to go. I'm not going to feel lack. I'm not going to feel unworthy. I'm not going to feel separation. I'm not going to feel resentment. These are the things that are keeping my reality the same. Now it's no longer about abundance, it's about who you become.
Mm-hmm. The most successful people are long-term thinkers. They look into the future as far as they can to determine the kind of people they want to become and the goals they want to achieve. They then come back to the present and determine the things that they will have to do or not do to achieve their desired futures. This practice of long-term thinking applies to work, career, marriage, relationships, money, and personal conduct. Successful people make sure that everything they do in the short term is consistent with where they want to end up in the long term. They practice self-discipline at all times. You see this willingness to sacrifice in people who spend many hours and even years preparing studying and upgrading their skills to make themselves more valuable so that they can have a better life in the future, rather than spending most of their time socializing and having fun in the present. Your ability to think, plan, and work hard in the short term, and to discipline yourself to do what is right and necessary before you do what is fun and easy, is the key to creating a wonderful future for yourself. Your ability to think long term is a developed skill. As you get better at it, you become more able to predict with increasing accuracy what is likely to happen to you in the future as the result of your actions in the present. This is a quality of the superior thinker. The common denominator of success was that successful people make a habit of doing the things that unsuccessful people don't like to do. And what were these things? It turned out that the things that successful people don't like to do are the same things that failures don't like to do either. But successful people do them anyway because they know that this is the price they have to pay if they want to enjoy greater success and rewards in the future. Successful people are more concerned with pleasing results, whereas failures were more concerned about pleasing method. Successful, happy people were more concerned with the positive, long-term consequences of their behaviors, whereas unsuccessful people were more concerned with personal enjoyment and immediate gratification. The top people were those who were more concerned with activities that were goal-achieving, whereas average people were more concerned with activities that were tension-relieving.
How much time do you spend every day working on your dream? In the last 90 days, how many books have you read? In the last year, what new skill or knowledge have you acquired? What kind of investment have you made in you?
You don't want it badder than you want to party. You don't want it as much as you want to be cool. Most of you don't want success as much as you want to sleep. Some of you love sleep more than you love success. And I'm here to tell you today, if you're going to be successful, you gotta be willing to give up sleep.
There is no shortcut. There is no hack. There's no sweatless solution. You're gonna have to work. There is always weakness to work on. Always. A lot of them. Why would we allow ourselves to make easy excuses? Why would you allow that?
Are you going to make today count? Because that's all you can control. And that's all that matters. It doesn't matter where you start, guys. It doesn't matter what talents you're born with. It's about where you finish. And this race isn't over. It's not over. You could still come in first in the marathon. But you gotta start today. You gotta start now. You have everything you have. Everything you need is inside you.
But I realize that doesn't mean just because you don't think you're good enough doesn't mean you can't be good. Doesn't mean you can't be great. Doesn't mean you can't carry on.
But it's not going to always be like this. Your condition is not your conclusion.
Nothing is impossible. So you have to decide before you leave, what's that first thing that's been impossible for you? I want you to attack it and overcome it.
Because if you run from the adversity that you're going through today, you'll forever be at that level in which you're going through for the rest of your life.
One day you'll look back on your life and appreciate the struggle and have nothing but gratitude for everything that happened along the way. And you come to recognize that in return, you're given the chance to earn the greatest edge of all, and one that can never be taken away.
You have enough right now to change your life. You have enough right now to flip this world upside down. You have enough. You got enough power. You got enough anointing. You got enough grace. You got enough patience. You got enough gifting to make your money, get out of debt, get yourself together, and change everything about your world.
Realize that you have the ability to make an impact. You have an opportunity to change that story in your head. Put yourself out there, because when you do, amazing things happen.
The essence of life is growth. The essence of life is growth, to do the best you can. And here's what's interesting. Humans are the only life form that will do less than they possibly can. Humans are the only life form that will settle for less. Every other life form except human beings strive to its maximum capacity. How tall will a tree grow? Approximately as tall as it possibly can. You never heard of a tree growing half as high as it could. No, trees don't grow half. Trees send their roots down as deep as possible, stretch their limbs up as high as possible, produce every leaf possible and every fruit possible. As a matter of fact, you never heard of a human physically growing half. We keep growing until we're done. Now that's the part of life we can't control. It's genetically coded. And that's probably why we keep growing till we're done. Because we can't control that part. It's the rest of our growing that we control. The growing of our minds, the expansion of our minds, that we can control. And that's what tends to get away from us. All life forms inherently strive to their max except human beings. Now, why wouldn't human beings strive to their maximum possibility? Here's why. Because we've been given the dignity of choice. It makes us different than alligators and trees and birds. The dignity of choice makes us different than all other life forms. And here's the choice: to become part of what we could be, enough to get by, or to become all that we can be. My best advice for you is to choose the all. Earn all you can, make all the friends you can, read as many books as you can, develop as many skills as you can, see as much as possible, do as much as possible, make as much fortune as possible, give as much of it away as possible. The max. There's no life like it. I'm telling you, once I got on track, I've never looked back. Pick up the challenge. Go for it. Take the best of the two easies. Take the route of it's easy to get ahead. It's easy to do all you can. It's easy to succeed. It's easy to have financial freedom. The more you do, the more you get.
See, if you're playing it safe, you're not going to win. If you're playing it safe, like that old saying, you were taught when you're a little girl, better to be safe than sorry. Well, that's a bunch of crap. It's not better to be safe than sorry. It's by trying things that you figure out how far you can go. You got to get outside the box. Like it's reported, Edison tried 3,000 ways before he built the incandescent light. He said he didn't fail 3,000 times. He said there was 3,000 different steps to building a light bulb. Well, there's different steps to get to where you're going. And I really do treat winning and losing exactly the same. I do not let it upset me.
Do you think that's a big part of why you're so successful?
Well, it's part of why I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it is, because I'll try anything. Like if I'm into an idea, the idea of losing never enters my mind. See, I have worked with giants. I had the good fortune of working with Sir Edmund Hillary. He was the first man to stand on top of the world. And I worked with him on 3 different occasions. And the only difference in Ed Hillary and Bob Proctor is in his side. Now, he's gone now, but he was a big man. And he shook hands with me. His hand wrapped right around mine. I felt like a dwarf, And talking to him, like it never entered his mind he wouldn't get to the top of the mountain. But he failed in 1951. He failed in 1952. It wasn't until 1953 that he got to the top of the mountain. People had died for centuries trying to do that. He said, I knew if I could see it in here, I could hold it out here. Stella Mann wrote that in a book. You can see it in your head, you can hold it in your hand. And that's right. And if you're not prepared to lose, you're never going to win, because you're always playing it safe. And there's no reward in that.
Dare to go forward. Winston Churchill once said, courage is rightly considered the foremost of the virtues, because upon it all others depend. Courage is the chief distinguishing characteristic of the true leader. It is almost always visible in the leader's words and actions. It is absolutely indispensable for success, happiness, and the ability to motivate other people to be the best they can be. Follow through on your vision. In a way, it is easy to develop a big vision for yourself and for the person you want to be. It is easy to commit yourself to living with complete integrity, but it requires incredible courage to follow through on your vision and on your commitment. You see, as soon as you set a high goal or standard for yourself, you will run into all kinds of difficulties and setbacks. Refuse to compromise. You will be surrounded by temptations to compromise your values and your vision. You will feel an almost irresistible urge to get along by going along. Your desire to earn the respect and cooperation of others can easily lead to the abandonment of your principles. And here is where courage comes in. Stick to your principles. Courage combined with integrity is the foundation of character. The first form of courage is your ability to stick to your principles, to stand for what you believe in and to refuse to budge unless you feel right about the alternative. Courage is also the ability to step out in faith, to launch out into the unknown, and then to face the inevitable doubt and uncertainty that accompany every new venture. Avoid the comfort zone. Most people are seduced by the lure of the comfort zone. This can be likened to going out of a warm house on a cold, windy morning. The average person, when he feels the storm swirling outside his comfort zone, rushes back inside where it's nice and warm. But not the true leader. The true leader has the courage to step away from the familiar and comfortable and to face the unknown with no guarantees of success. It is this ability to boldly go where no man has gone before that distinguishes you as a leader from the average person. This is the example that you must set if you are to rise above the average.
We often have an idea of what we want to bring into our life, have a vision of who we want to be, have a desire. But the biggest thing that's blocking us from stepping into that truth is the belief.
Now, if these negative beliefs are very strong in you, then how can you possibly create a loving, joyous, prosperous, healthy life? Somehow your subconscious beliefs would always be contradicting you and making sure you do not obtain your goals. I find that resentment, criticism, guilt, and fear cause more problems in our bodies and in our experiences than anything else. These feelings come from blaming others and not taking responsibility for our own lives. You see, if we are all responsible for everything that happens in our lives, then there is really no one to blame. Whatever is happening out there is only a mirror of our own inner thinking.
When we have a problem, a difficulty, a struggle that is located inside, and we're looking for the solution outside, someplace outside of ourselves. It would be like going to the doctor and telling him all of your symptoms. And the doctor says, oh boy, you've got a lot of symptoms. And he starts writing out prescriptions. You need a prescription for this symptom, you need a prescription for that symptom. And finally, he gets this 4 or 5, and you go to walk out, and you say, well, I'd like my prescriptions. He said, no, I'll give this one to your mother-in-law, and I'll give this one to your neighbor, and I'll give this one to your daughter, and I'll give this one to your father. I mean, you're the one with the struggle and with the difficulties, expecting somebody else to change or something outside of you to get better in order for you to make your life work is something you have to really take a hard look at. It's in here.
We have to feel love for ourselves and love for life in order for us to have love in our life. And so then to instruct people how to teach their body emotionally how that future could feel like before it's made manifest. If they do it properly, their body as the unconscious mind begins to believe it's living in that future reality in the present moment. And they're beginning to signal new genes in new ways that begins to change their body to look like the event has already occurred.
So we need new ways of thinking, new ways of living, and it comes down to something very simple. The most simple is about love. the bottom line, do we love ourselves enough to live our lives in a way that gives our bodies what they need to do what they know how to do really well? Do we love ourselves enough to live and to think in a way that allows the best version of ourselves and the best versions of our families and communities to come forward?
So when you stand in this place of knowing that if this time-space reality has created within you a desire for something, this time-space reality will deliver the goods. So when you stand in that knowing and then you couple it with your belief in your righteousness or worthiness to receive it.
When you're putting in a wish and a desire, put it in as if you already have it. I am healthy. I am a good relationship person. I have a great job. What's that? I say, it's like I already have it. And yet most people don't have it. So they'll say, I want a great job. I want a great relationship. I want to be healthy. And I go, make a recording of those words. We just said that. I want to be healthy. Today, right now, Tuesday, we're going to make a recording. I say, now come back in 1 year and let's push the button on that recording. And we come back a year later and it says, I want to be healthy. I go, it's a whole year and you still want to be healthy?
Still don't have it, right?
You didn't say I am healthy. All you're emphasizing, I have a desire to be healthy. I want to be healthy. I have a desire to be healthy. And I go, you can have that desire the rest of your life. You're not going to get healthy. You want to be healthy, you say, I am healthy. But then you look and say, yeah, but in reality, I'm sick. And I go, no. The function of the mind is to take the program and turn it into reality. So if I am sick, but I put a program in, I am healthy, the mind looks, like, well, wait a second, the program is I am healthy, but the body is not healthy, so what's the function of the mind? Create health in the body. It doesn't change the program, it changes the body. And so the idea is this. Every time we put a program in, it has to be as if you already have it, in spite of the fact you could be dying of cancer. I go, I am healthy. It sounds kind of weird. And I go, don't worry about it. Just put it on I am healthy, because once it is a program, the function of the mind is to manifest it as reality. That's the part. And so my little caveat, you brought it up, I'm emphasizing it, and that was simply this. That whatever you're downloading, you have to say it as if you already have it. Because if you put a future tense on it, I will, I want, I say, if you record that, that means you will always want to have it. I will do this. You won't get there. So I just wanted to bring that in, because if we're making a program, then you must make sure it says as if you already have it, in spite of the fact you don't.
Top people look for the good in every situation. They know that it is always there, no matter how many reversals and setbacks they experience. They expect to get something good out of everything that happens to them. They believe that every setback is part of a great plan that is moving them inexorably toward achieving the great success that is inevitable for them. If your beliefs are positive enough, you will seek the valuable lesson in every setback or difficulty. You will confidently believe that there are many things that you have to learn on the road to achieving and keeping your ultimate success. You therefore look upon every problem as a learning experience. Napoleon Hill wrote, within every difficulty or obstacle, there is the seed of an equal or greater advantage or benefit. With this kind of an attitude, you benefit from everything that happens, positive or negative, as you move upward and onward toward achieving your major definite purpose. There is a law of reversibility in psychology and metaphysics that says you are more likely to act yourself into feeling a particular way than you are to feel yourself into acting. What this means is that when you start off, you may not feel like the great success that you desire to be. You will not have the self-confidence that comes from a record of successful achievement. You will often doubt your own abilities and fear failure. You will feel that you are not good enough, at least not yet. But if you act as if you were already the person you desire to be, with the qualities and talents that you desire to have, your actions will generate the feelings that go with them. You will actually act yourself into feeling the way you want to feel by the law of reversibility. If you want to be one of the top people in your business, dress like the top people, groom like the top people, organize your work habits the way they do. Pick the most successful people in your field and use them as your role model. If possible, go to them and ask them for advice on how to get ahead more rapidly. And whatever advice they give you, follow it immediately. Take action. When you start to walk, talk, dress, and behave like the top people, you soon begin to feel like the top people. You will treat other people like the top people do. You will work the way the top people work. You will start to get the results that the top people get. In no time at all, you will be one of the top people yourself. It may be trite to say fake it until you make it, but there is a lot of truth to it. Your main job in life is to create the mental equivalent within yourself of what you want to realize and enjoy in your outer world. Your focus must be on creating the beliefs within yourself that are consistent with great success you want to be in your outer world. You achieve this by challenging your self-limiting beliefs, rejecting them, and then acting as if they did not exist. You reinforce the development of new life-enhancing beliefs by increasing your knowledge and skills in your field to the point where you feel equal to any demand or challenge. You accelerate the development of new, positive beliefs by setting bigger and more exciting goals in every area. Finally, you act continually as if you were already the person that you desire to be. Your aim is to reprogram your subconscious mind for success by creating the mental equivalent in everything you do or say.
Momentum develops the mindset. Momentum conditions the mind to confidence. Like just moving forward every day, even a small thing. If you just said, every day I'm going to do 3 things to move my life forward, and you just did those 3 things every single day. Today I'm going to do these 3 things to move my life forward. It could be sending an email, calling somebody, having that prospect meeting. It could be as simple as like, oh, okay, I'm going to work towards this goal. I'm going to finish this presentation. I'm going to create this thing. Whatever it is for you, like do that thing. Maybe it's like, oh, today I'm going to work out today. Great, you worked out. Your mind goes, I said I was going to work out, I worked out. I developed a little more confidence because you were congruent with your intentions. See, action is what makes us congruent with our intentions. Right? That old thing you've heard me say, if you've been studying my work for a long time, intention without initiative is just sorry hopes. It really is. Intention without initiative is just sorry hope. You have to apply yourself again. And I know you already know this. Listen, a lot of people watching this, you're already a confident person. Okay, what's the next level of action that will raise you up to the next level of success? What's the next level of action and bold decision making that will change your life? I know you might already be a confident person, so what's your next level of action? Well, Brendan, I already feel confident going up and talking to a person. Great, now go up and talk to 4 people. Good job. Okay, well, Brendan, I already feel good, trying to put out this message. Great, do it again, be more vulnerable. Oh, Brendan, I already feel good, I started the business, I built this. Great, double the business, let's see you do it. So when you challenge yourself to take actions that are a little bit outside your pay grade, a little bit outside your comfort zone, and you actually follow through, congruence comes in and you go, I set that intention, it was hard, I took the challenge, and I made it happen. That's it. That's really, truly it.
You may have weaknesses. You've made mistakes. We all have. But there's a lot more right with you than there is wrong with you. Dwelling on the negative doesn't help you to do better. Beating yourself up for past mistakes doesn't move you forward. The better you feel about yourself, the better you'll do. The more you like yourself, the further you'll go. You can't give away what you don't have. If you're in turmoil on the inside, mad at yourself, critical, condemned, that's what you have to give.
Love is not something that you do. Love is something that you can become. It's your quality. If your mind is in a certain way, it's joyful. If your emotions are in a certain way, it's loving. This is the quality of sweetness of body. If your body becomes sweet and pleasant, it's called health and pleasure. If your mind becomes very pleasant, it's called peacefulness and joyfulness. If your emotions become pleasant, it's called love and compassion. If your very life energy becomes pleasant, it is called blissfulness and ecstasy. Only if your surroundings become pleasant, it's called success.
In Buddhism, they say replace any negative thought immediately with a positive thought.
And the neuroplasticity says the same thing, because neuroplasticity is amazing, but it can be bad. If you have a breakup and you obsess about the person, you're wiring that deeply into your brain. So you have to direct your neuroplasticity, and if you do get that voice in your head, which is normal for all of us, you need to, override that with a positive statement.
So your forebrain is the builder, it's the designer, it's the CEO. And when you begin to speculate possibilities, when you start to think about a better way to do something, or something you want to experience, or something you want to do, or some future event, it's an amazing phenomenon, because the researchers are beginning to show that not only do we remember a past, but the brain actually can remember a future. And so how does it do that? Well, because the forebrain has connections to all other parts of the brain, it can take a little bit of that knowledge from a specific neural network and a little bit of experience and another neural network of knowledge and another neural network of experience, and it can seamlessly piece it together to create a new level of mind. And then your brain gets a picture or an image, and then you transfix your mind on that image, and those neurons string into place that begin to fire and wire together. And every time you remind yourself of what you want to experience, you're reinforcing the circuitry in your brain to begin to install the hardware for you to actually experience that future event. In other words, the brain already looks like it's already had the event. Now that's super cool, because it really says then that we're remembering a future potential.
The imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force that the world has ever known. And the average individual uses the imagination, if they use it at all, against themselves. They imagine what they don't want. They imagine problems coming. Let's begin to use our imagination the way God meant it to be used. It's the greatest creative faculty that we possess, and we can build anything we want.
The mind is very strong, and one of the things the mind does is develop methodologies or ways of thinking that let it interact with life and not get hurt and be more comfortable. And it's the ego. When we develop a self-concept and we change it throughout our lives, but in general, there's a self-concept sitting under there saying, I was the one that did this, and I was the one that went to this school, and I'm the one that went there, and the one that my father left or stayed, or whatever the hell it is, And basically, all of this unfolds, and you end up developing patterns of thinking based upon the experiences you've had, all right? And what I'm saying, at least certainly in my experience, is that's not what makes you wake up. That's what keeps you from waking up, all right? The fact that you're identifying with these past experiences and saying that's who I am, well, it's not who you are. You are watching your ego. You see it get upset. You see it fix things. You see it have concepts and views and et cetera, et cetera. And even you're obviously very intelligent. You can use your intellect to support the ego, to support that, and so on, right?
Man's greatest burden is unfulfilled potential. Man's greatest burden is unfulfilled potential. And I say, when I look at the audiences, and I know that maybe only 1% are going to achieve their potential. Not fully. I still haven't fulfilled my potential, but unfulfilled potential is man's greatest burden. And it breaks my heart, because I know what you kids are capable of. I know I've had kids with 80 IQ to 180 IQ that I mentored that have done big deals. Actually, the 80 IQ did better than the 180 IQ. Okay. And I know what they're capable of. And I know how 10 million or 100 million or whatever the number is changes lives. And and then all of a sudden, you believe that you can walk on water. You believe that you can take a loaf of bread and feed however many he was supposed to have fed and make water into wine. And when you believe it, see, the true test of a leader is when you've trained other people to be leaders. It's in you, kids. I mean, you can do it. If you want it bad enough and you stay focused and you're willing to maintain that commitment,
I have to go become more confident. I have to go become a person capable of doing these things. I have to change myself to get there. I can't wait for circumstances to change so I can have my dream. Then our dreams would never happen. We have to get to the point of maturity in our lives where we say, okay, 2 things are going to change my life. Something new is going to come into my life and make me lucky and blessed. And maybe I can't count on that forever. And maybe now, instead, I have to consciously design my life and say, okay, now, if I want to change, if I want my dream, something new has to come from me. I'm going to become a better person. I'm going to become a person who is more optimistic, who is more confident, who is more driven. Not because I am that now, but because we can grow. That you can become the type of person who you need to be to achieve your ideal life. You can start today living from your highest ideals, your highest sense of self, your strongest sense of self. You don't need permission. You don't need a guy like me to look at the video camera and say, you have now permission. But if you've been waiting for it, you have permission. It's like at some point in your life, you just say, okay, I have permission to become my best self. And by becoming your best self, you start to achieve your best things. You start to contribute better things. You start to become a better human being. You can do that now, today. So next time you're thinking about a big dream, don't think about the things that, well, I don't know how to do that, and stop. Think, I don't know how. So set it up on your calendar to go learn those things. I don't have that. Then set it up step by step to go build that. I'm not like that. Then set it up step by step to go develop those skill sets and those competencies so you can become that, and ultimately you can achieve that dream. It's there. It's waiting for you. Don't stop.
We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. You are your most valuable asset. Your life, your potential, and your possibilities are the most precious things you have. Thus, your great goal in life should be to fulfill that potential and become everything you are capable of becoming. Your ability to learn, grow, and fulfill your potential is unlimited. Today, people are graduating from high school and college in their 70s, learning new subjects and developing new capabilities. Your ability to learn and remember can continue throughout your life if you keep your brain alive, alert, and functioning at its best. Your most precious financial asset is your earning ability. Your ability to work is your primary source of cash throughout your life. You could lose your home, your car, your bank account, and everything you own, but as long as you have your earning ability, you can earn it all back, and more in the months and years ahead. Your biggest investment, most people don't realize this. They take their earning ability for granted. But it has taken you your entire life to develop your earning ability. Every bit of education, experience, and hard work that you have invested in learning your craft and developing your skills has gone into building this asset. Your earning ability is very much like a muscle. It can increase in strength and power year by year as the result of regular exercise. Likewise, the opposite is true, too. If left alone or ignored, your earning ability, like your muscles, can become weaker or even decline because you have simply failed to upgrade it continually. In other words, your earning ability can be either an appreciating or a depreciating asset. What got you here won't get you any further. Some people are actually losing value each year, declining in earning ability because they are not continually upgrading their knowledge and skill. They don't realize that whatever knowledge and skill they have today is rapidly becoming obsolete. It is being replaced by new knowledge and skills that, if you don't have them and someone else does, you will be in danger of being overtaken by your competition. The achievement of personal excellence is a decision you make, or that you fail to make. But in the absence of a commitment to excellence in your chosen field, you automatically default to average performance, or even mediocrity. No one becomes excellent accidentally or by just going to work each day. Excellence requires a definite decision and a lifelong commitment. Knowledge and skill are the keys to the 21st century. Becoming the best person you can possibly be and moving to the top of your field require the application of self-discipline throughout your life. Mental fitness is like physical fitness. If you want to achieve either, you must work at it all your life. You can never let up. You must be continually learning and growing. Every day, week, and month, throughout your career, and in other areas of your life. If you're going to join the top 20% and stay there, to earn more, you must learn more. Abraham Lincoln once wrote, "The fact that some have become wealthy is proof that others may do it as well." What others have done, you can do as well. If you learn how, everyone who is at the top was once at the bottom. Many people who come from average or poor families with average incomes or who grow up in average circumstances have gone on to become some of the most prominent people in their fields. And what hundreds of thousands and even millions of other people have done, you can do as well. Was philosopher Bertrand Russell once wrote that the very best proof that something can be done is that someone else has already done it.